Hey everybody, it's Yo Taylor back here at the Style Table on My Style Mondays with my guest, Chris Dyer. She is a branding and image consultant. She is also an author, a speaker. She does everything. And I just met her at the Women Who Boss Up Summit. She is amazing. She is just, first off, look at those glasses.
Mhm.
She already has style. Okay. Look at that jewelry. I love it. I love it. And then when I saw the splash of teal hair, what? Okay. She has flavor, right? So we're going to talk to her about branding and image consulting. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. This is the first time I've heard you address yourself by your nickname. So thank you so much for having me here.
Well, my friends call me Yo, so please call me Yo. Now, I want to talk to you about how did you get started in branding and image consulting?
Well, actually, that's a little bit of a misnomer. I don't really focus on the image consulting from the outside. I'm more interested on branding and image on the inside.
Ooh,
So yes, because that's where it starts. And when you want to upgrade yourself, it all has to start on the inside,
true.
right? Our thoughts, my background being in fitness training, personal training, group fitness classes, all that high energy. But what's unique about my story is I didn't actually get started into that until I was 40 years old, which when we're talking about creating a healthy lifestyle, that's part of my platform. It's like it's never too late to start. And it's the gift you give yourself, that self-care routine. But for me, images on the inside, and then what we put on the outside should be a reflection of what we want to project. And you mentioned my sparkly jewelry, my glasses, and this has been an evolution actually over the last 4 years. This part of my entrepreneur journey has been the most impactful with quantum leaps because I understood how the physical science works into lifestyle. What I didn't understand is the personal development and the mental fitness, right? So I added that into my routine. And then the spiritual fitness, right? That's the three: the body, the
Mhm.
mind, the spirit. And when you focus on just one, then the others are lacking. And that's where, holes are coming up in our paradigm, or we're not creating and manifesting the things that were meant for us, or truly living in our purpose and creating impact. So I'm a very holistic person, learning to be leaning in a little bit more to the spiritual quantum physics, understanding that there's so much out there that we can't see that really does impact who we are and how we show up.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I love that you talked about the inside. I deal with the outside, and I always say this is why I love coaches and consultants, and I'll say it, therapists, all of that. You have to work on the inside. So you're ready for the outside. The outside complements and is a reflection of all the work that you do working on your image on the inside. I think that's beautiful. I think that's perfect. And especially for women over 40, because many times we're remaking our image. There are different things that we have to accept with our bodies. Not all women like it when I say, well, you're going to gain weight. It just happens. We're going to gain 5 to 20 pounds just from menopause alone. Forget all of the other stuff, the hormonal changes, the thyroid, all kinds of craziness that starts coming at us and
yeah.
metabolism slowing down.
Mhm.
But you have to dress according to the fact that get your mind right, part of the image. And like you said, the personal training and all of that, the health, the fitness, all of that part, you have to get that right in your mind because you have to be prepared that that weight could come right back. And you still want to look good and present yourself and present your image and still, stay true to your image by acceptance and being prepared and working on the inside. So you're ready for to show everything that you are on the outside.
Well, I think an important thing for women is to remember to give themselves compassion
Mhm.
because they will give it away all day long to everyone else and not reserve it for themselves. And
Ooh.
that's actually part of my journey that I'm going through right now. In the shifts that I'm making, when we're very driven to creating results and achieving, there's a lot of masculine energy there, right?
Yes.
And the feminine energy allows us to nurture and have compassion, and to heal. And so I look at both sides of the equation. When I work with my clients, I can very easily look behind the curtain and tease out and understand why they're treating themselves the way they are, or they have an unrealistic expectation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when we have these expectations of the way we think life and business and all the things are supposed to be, and when it's not quite measuring up, that creates that overwhelm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it really comes back down to the self-care routine. How are we treating ourselves every day, every single day, so that we have the capacity and the ability to show up in our best image and also help others show up the way they need to show up. It really truly starts with us.
I love how you say give yourself grace. I always tell women, when you go in that fitting room, give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. Don't beat yourself up over a number that men created back in the 30s with these sizing units. They just created the number. A size small could actually be 100 if they wanted to. It's give yourself grace, give yourself a break. It's all a part of your self care,
Mhm.
and that's why you have to take care of that first. And that's when you have a branding and inside image consultant, helping you work on that brings so much more to your business. And like you said, it gives you grace and time to woosah. And having somebody on your team who's going to be not just your consultant, but a friend.
Mhm.
And I'm getting all that kind of positive kind of friendship energy from Chris right now, and that's definitely somebody who's going to be in your camp.
Absolutely. Well, somebody who can give themselves compassion also knows how to give it out equally, right?
Hmm.
Because women love to judge themselves. That's the way we were raised and conditioned. And so, with me and my journey the past 4 years and working on the mental fitness and truly understanding and uncovering, emotional baggage that I've been carrying, that's where the shifts, and that's where the lightning, and that's where the color and the brilliance starts coming out, is when you start taking off those layers of things you've been carrying, right, emotionally and energetically. And that's all just part of doing the work.
Yeah.
um, I wouldn't go back to me 4 years ago for anything.
And it's like you were talking about that leap, just from 4 years ago. And you mentioned something to me earlier, before the show. You were talking about it's never too late. It's never too late to grow and evolve and change, and embrace that change. So
Hmm.
tell me about, you've written two books.
Hmm. I did.
So,
Co-authored compilation books.
okay.
Jumpstart Your. This is a compilation where it's many different business modalities. Some are business, finance coaches, but I came from the health and wellness, the fitness space. So my chapter is about jumpstart your radiant lifestyle. And radiance for me is a juicy word, right? It's not one
Mhm.
that's overused. And it also has multiple connotations. A lot of words do. Radiant can be sparkling like this, like a diamond. It could be
Mhm.
sparkling from the inside. It could be your smile. But I also used to be an X-ray tech. Okay, and so we were talking about X radiation, and sort of a funny thing that I do sometimes as a warm up in introducing myself. I'll say I have X-ray vision, and I'm
Mhm.
being honest and truthful. And people look at me like, "What?" It's like, I know and see what's on the inside of the body, but I also can know, because I am an intuitive. I can also tease out the emotions and things that are holding women back, right? Create those breakthroughs, because we can see things that they don't see and bring that to the surface. So, radiant has multiple meanings for me. So that's why I chose the title.
Wow. I was on my Instagram and I had someone, I did a video and someone said, "Oh, I see these chakras holding your throat and I can help you bring that out." What do you're an intuitive. What do you think about, like, can you see things like that as an intuitive? Can you see the things that are holding someone back, one of your clients or someone who could potentially be a client? You can see things that might be holding them back. You feel like you can sense that energy?
Yes. And that comes from wisdom, right? At our age, we've learned a lot.
Yes.
It should
Oh my
not
God.
ever be discounted, right? I mean, some women
Right.
are just, it's like, oh gosh, no, I would not trade what I know now, but that's lived experience, right? It's applied knowledge. Knowledge is cheap. We've been acquiring knowledge and all the things, and you get to a point when you start applying it with action. That's where the wisdom comes in, and that's where you and I sit right now. We're in our in our formative early wisdom years, and I'm like, oh, this is going to get even better, right?
Right.
and,
Right.
and now there's a lot of focus on ageism and reversing that stereotype about, as women get older in life, it's like we just get better, like fine wine, or and I mean, who wouldn't want that? I don't want to be 20 again. I was miserable. Right? I mean, it's like, no, that part of life was an icky transition. It's like, yeah, I have faith that it's only getting better.
Exactly. I was talking to someone, and no shade on the 20-year-old, life coaches. But
No.
then you start thinking, okay, if you're 20, 21 life coach, you're still living life, but some things happen to young people
Mm-hmm.
that they're old souls and they have lived through some things
Mm-hmm.
to help other young people. So they can help other young people. But man, when you get to our age, we have seen it all. We've heard it all. We've talked to so many people in our lives. We've had so many life experiences, positive, negative, inspiring. We've inspired people. So there's so much wisdom there. I just think it's so cool. I agree. I would not change it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if we could be what we are now and put it in that 20-year-old body, we truly would be. You know what? We would be just running the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
Yes, and if we take care of ourselves, we can act and live like we're 20 and have it all up here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I tell women too, when you're getting dressed, I see women who are in their 50s and 60s who just kind of like, they just stop, well, I'm this age and I need to dress this way. No, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at the energy. Nothing about you says 50 or 60. You're easily, so many women look 10 years younger at least, and their energy level is at least 20 years younger. Your style should reflect that. Now, I'm not saying go to your teenage granddaughters or your young 20-year-old daughter's clothes and go ahead and get your little belly chain on and go on out there. But I am saying your style can reflect your personality and the energy that you are, the energy that you're projecting. So that part, I always remind women, we're not, listen, we, just because I'm in my 50s doesn't mean I'm going out like a punk. We're not going out like that. We're going out looking good and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
keep looking good. Jane Fonda is my goal.
Oh, yes.
Jane Fonda is my goal, man.
Yes.
She still looks hot and the energy, I love it. I love it.
Well, it's funny, in a women's networking group that I belong to, there's a chapter in Colorado where I just moved from, and there were several women of us the similar age, and we kind of tongue in cheek called ourselves the Hot Grandmas Club.
Love it.
And that's who I want to be, right?
Yeah.
But funny story, when I actually was teaching a class, because I also work with older aging adults as well in the fitness arena, because that's who I am. It's like that's that's my stage, right? Helping people maintain a healthy lifestyle. And so this woman, she's 75 years old, and she was so cute. And she came up to me after the end of class, and she was so excited. She was like, I just wanted to tell you, I just signed up for pole dancing classes. It's like, that's what I want to be when I'm 75, right? I mean, have the energy and the wherewithal to even be brave enough to do something like that. But, it comes to a choice. If we don't take care of ourselves, then you see the opposite, right? And that just really gives you perspective, and you get to choose, which do you want? Do you want to be having the energy and the wherewithal, inclination to go take pole dancing classes, or are you content being sedentary and not moving your body, right? And not throwing shade, but it becomes a choice, right? And it's like,
It does. I sometimes I would talk to my dad, and he'd always say, because he just kind of, when my mom passed away, he just, trying to figure it out how to go on. She was the love of his life. And so, and I said, Dad, I know sometimes you're sitting here and you're like Sanford from Sanford and Son, Elizabeth, I'm coming,
And I'm old enough to know that reference.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm like, Dad, God determines when we leave here. He also allows us to determine how we're going to spend our time while we're here, health wise. You can easily end up, having stroke after stroke after stroke and end up in a hospital bed or in a bed somewhere incapacitated. He might keep you here for a very long time. And you might be in that physical condition for as long as he decides to keep you here. So, we determine how we're going to be here until God decides to take us.
Right.
So, or however you believe. I always believe that there's a higher power, whatever your religious belief is. I always believe there's a higher power that will determine our destiny. But we determine how we're going to spend our time physically on this earth. I think we have a good, like you said, with health and nutrition and everything that you do to help people, you help people live their best lives. You might as well enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about the passing of your mother. So.
Oh, thank you. It's been 13 years, but he's still, she was a health nut. She took care of herself, but it was a rare blood disorder that took her, but she ended up living 20 years longer than expected with her rare anemia. So again, like you said, taking care of yourself. And she would have been gone 20 years earlier. It's how you want to finish your days. And God knows that number. And so having someone like you, again, with the image and the branding and the mindset of health and fitness is awesome. It's awesome.
Well, it's one of my pillars, right? And I've actually sort of dusted that off because 4 years ago, decided to exercise my creative energy, which is actually where the teal hair came from, and all the colors, right? Mm-hmm. So I took a successful online business and converted it into a creative business. But when people don't know who you are, it was really hard. And that's when I started networking and making connections and creating relationships and getting out into the networking community in that space. But I had a wild hair. I was going through this growth and transition, this evolution, and I sat down in my stylist chair and I said, I want copper hair and I want teal in it. So it looks like verdigris, right? Like copper, like the teal. And it was such a hit. This is over 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. It was such a hit. It was like a heck yes. That's it. That's the look I want. And then when I started showing up and people started recognizing me on social media, they're like, oh, you're the one with the blue hair or the green hair. And that was interesting because it also made me realize, there's a lot of people perceive different things. and all people perceive colors differently as well. So I didn't ever try to correct them. It's like, isn't that interesting how people's perceptions, how they're receiving the signals of a color gets interpreted differently by depending who it is. But anyway, it's stuck. And because it is a brand, it is with my color palette, whatever, I just kept it for almost 4 years. And I'm ready to go touch it up again because it's starting not to be as vibrant as I prefer. But it was one way to let my hair down and not take myself too seriously, because I did grow up very conservative, and I did grow up with a lot of those expectations that were kind of given to me that weren't mine to carry. And what's interesting is I asked a family member who didn't really ever comment. We spent some time together, and I turned to her and I said, you know what, you never did say anything about the color of my hair. She's like, you're right, I didn't. And that was my cue. Like, well, number one, she didn't approve. And number two, I'm on the right path. For living my own genius and in my own eccentric ways, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, I developed a business that has actually evolved into how I'm creating some social impact. Put the embellished butterfly in the chat, and that's where all the sparkle comes from. So that brand, that business, creates gifts for our upscale clients with Swarovski crystals. And I don't do the work anymore. I create the ideas and the designs, and I have a production partner. She's an adult with special needs. And that's a beautiful way for me to give her an opportunity to express her creativity, make an impact in the world, create future independence in money and things like that. And I want to scale that.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. I remember when I first saw you, my thought was money and life. That's what green represents to me. Life, growth, money, all of those things, they're all positive.
Well, thank you.
That's the first thing. And I thought, oh, look at her. Wow, got that little pop, you will remember me. And so that was my first thought. It was all positive. So
well, thank you. Well, and because I'm everywhere, every day. It's like every time I go sit in her chair, it's like every day, even to the day I go sit to have the refresh, someone pays a compliment, and I give her that benefit, right? I mean, it's her creativity, but it just, it has worked. And it was an idea. I just kept running with it.
Yeah. And she does it in a way that's kind of like an ombre, so it's a pop, but it's also subtle. It's a subtle pop. It's not like, it's blended in a way that's beautiful. I like it.
Well, and you had asked about my glasses also. Those came into place about 3 years ago, actually. And they're more necessary now than they used to be. They were just readers, and they have the blue blockers because of all the time we spend online, right? And so I supported another woman-owned business, and she has a business where she would send the frames to you. You would try them on Zoom, and then you send them back to her. She has a prescription put in, then you get them mailed back to you. And so I loved just promoting her by wearing the glasses. Chris, I love your glasses. Where'd you get your glasses? And I get to recommend her. I mean, I've so many people, know who she is just from, that collaboration and recommending, and now they're more necessary, but.
And I knew our guests who are watching are going to want to know, where did you get those glasses too? So I'm going to ask you to drop that in with your information along with it too. I love supporting business owners that are like putting together things that I can actually source for my clients as well.
That's a great point for you. And your glasses are actually stylish, very stylish.
Yeah, peepers.com, man. I love these glasses. I love them. And people stop me all the time with them, but they are fun. I love them.
Yeah. Well, these are from on your face glasses.
Okay.
onyourfaceglasses.com. And she's a lovely, lovely woman to work with.
And we love supporting women-owned businesses around here. So we're definitely, Chris is going to drop that information in the comments for us, along with a link for her books and a link to get in contact with her so she can help you with any of your branding needs. And like she said, she focuses on branding you on the inside. And which is, I think that's so awesome and so needed. And it helps people like me.
Aw.
So when you come to me, I'm so ready for you because you're all ready. So again, Chris is the one you want to go to, and she's got flavor. She's got flavor, and she's the girlfriend that you want to have.
Thank you, Lo.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing all of your information with us and sharing your spirit with us and how you help people. And I think it's important for us I like doing these interviews with all of women because you get to show your personality, because people connect with people based on their energy and their personality. And so I'm so appreciative that you took your time and to support My Style Mondays. And like I said, you guys, she's going to drop all of her information in the comments. Right now, Chris is going to tell us verbally how can we get in contact with you right now.
Well, I am found on all the social media platforms by Chris Dyer on Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel, which I'm beefing that up as well, creating my own stage to help honor these amazing women, the way you and I actually got connected was at an event from one of your very best friends.
Yes.
And so I will be interviewing Tam and all the authors in that book so I can promote them on all my social media channels. But we, just to tell everybody here in the audience, you and I met at a Boss Up conference here in Las Vegas last week.
Yes.
And I'm privileged to be among a group of really some powerhouse women really creating some impact in their communities, in the world. But it starts with ourselves, Yeah. It starts with us.
It does start with us and sharing our gifts and our treasures and helping each other and helping you out there think about maybe a business that you want to start, or help you think about up-leveling your brand or your personal style or your image, or whatever it may be, whatever your passion, your hobby, your organization, community, whatever you're involved in. I'm hoping that these interviews help inspire you to take a step and start working on your passions and dreams if you haven't, or improve on those. I have interviewed well over 100 women or more, and their stories and everything that they're sharing is, I hope you get something from. I've gotten something from every single person I've talked to. I've learned something. I've personally grown from. So please follow me on At the Style Table LLC. Follow me on YouTube. You can see Chris and many other fabulous women on My Style Mondays, every Monday at 7 p.m. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can also connect with me there. And I will see you guys next time on My Style Mondays at 7 p.m. See you next time. Bye, you guys.
Bye.